Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Altcoin Buzz Trading. I'm Randy. Today we're going to discuss Bitcoin, MATIC, and Internet Computer. And also stay tuned for your TA tip of the day. Let's get right to it. BTC, I've got us on a 2-hour time frame. We've been talking about Bitcoin, looking to break down a little bit lower. Even with our daily bottomed out RSI, things aren't looking super hot at the moment. What I'm going to tell you now goes for nearly all of the coins, at least in the top 20 USD, even some of the ones in other USD pairs and BTC pairs have this same situation. And I'm going to tell you a couple of ways things could play out. So BTC right now, we've been up here chopping around, right? Up here chopping around. Doesn't really matter all these little levels, the little highs, the little lows. The fact is that we've been unable to get past kind of a ceiling of price action here. And that's going to lead us to the fact that we eventually could have a breakdown. Now, I do want to show you one thing. If we go back up here to before we had the breakdown through the trend line, we had similar price action. Things are a little trickier up here. Things can also be a little tricky down here, but less so. So here we're chopping around. Eventually, we try to make higher high here. Between this high and this high, we try to make a higher high. We really do a bad job. We roll over, and then we make another lower low. And by this point, we're coming up to this trend line, and things are starting to converge together. And when that happens, a decision needs to be made. And the decision was to move the market lower. So now that we're down here, similar things have to happen. They tend to happen on smaller time frames. And this is happening as I'm talking, as a matter of fact. So remember we talked about those shorts. I already forgot the names because it doesn't matter. But the shorts that we talked about the other day, the same technical analysis applies to the Bitcoin chart. You're going to have so you're looking at a short trade here, and it kind of has to be done relatively soon. So you're looking at a stop loss over this prior high, and a target's going to be a little bit harder to discern, but we're going to take the same measured move strategy. The measured move is a good way to produce targets in many circumstances. It's not the only way, but it's the way that fits this market right now. So you trade as about a 6.35 risk reward ratio. I'll keep my mouse hovered over this so you can see it. If I can get my chart looking right. So about a 6.35 risk reward ratio. Your stop is over the high on the overnight session, which is at about 26,188. Your target on a measured move is about 23,434. One way this trade can go wrong is if the market does drop and reverse. So because we have such a low daily RSI, I'm a little hesitant to think we're going to do full-blown measured moves. But one thing we could do is drop down and then bounce up dramatically. If that does happen, okay, you have a couple options. You can try to take profit a little bit early, even though you haven't hit your target. You can let it get all the way to your stop and get stopped out. A lot of traders advocate for that. Most of the time I do as well. But in this kind of market environment, sometimes taking some profit is better than losing money at all. You really don't want to lose money while you're trading. You want to make profit. So make sure you walk away with something. And there's always another trade, so don't really worry about, oh, this was my opportunity. You're going to have other opportunities. All right, so that's the Bitcoin trade right there. It should happen relatively soon. And the reason being is because you want to have that good stop loss. So it's a 1.45% stop loss. And when you have a tight stop loss, you're really able to take more opportunities. You don't want to take a lot of them. You'll deal with death by 1,000 cuts. But when you're in some situations, you want to take advantage of that. Now, if Bitcoin does stop us out of this, it may go run up for our green trend line up here, which we've had at the 27,048 level. It may go make a run for that. And then we're looking at another shortable opportunity. And we'll talk about that. But it depends how it handles the low. All right, so there's Bitcoin. Next up, let's go look at MATIC. And MATIC is probably the cleanest chart of the top 20 right now. And let's go ahead and draw this. We've been discussing H patterns. MATIC has an H pattern. Let me go to the daily. I can show you a little bit more history because we haven't really been looking at MATIC too much. So MATIC's been in a deep downtrend. Okay, and then we result in an H pattern on this recent market drop. So market drops, you throw in an H pattern. We did test the lows here and already bounced, right? But what just happened is we just found resistance where resistance should show up. So one thing about technical analysis is not that it tells you what every chart's going to do, it's that it leads you to better charts. And the charts that behave better technically usually trade better. And so in this situation, what you're looking at is the bottom of the H pattern. No, it's not the ultimate bottom, it's the close. And I'm okay with that. I want to give it the close. I don't want to go all the way down here. It's just too darn far, because especially our consolidation happened above these closes. So I can give this to the close, consider this my entry point, and remember what we've been talking about with those shorts lately. If you have your entry point here, you have your stop at these prior highs. This one you could even have all the way up here at about 4%. And I'm not going to target the measured move because that's not quite the trade. It's getting close though. But what we can do is actually move this here. And you can have a stop over this recent high. So basically we bounced off the low, came up and found resistance at resistance. So resistance should remain just that. We shouldn't be able to go back through it. If we go back through resistance, it's no longer resistance and it's a dead trade. And then we just look for the next one. So this one right now, if you were to take this trade right now, it's about a 2.7% risk. So where is your reward coming in? Well, you could try to take it at the low. If things bounce up here, you're looking at about a 1-to-1 risk reward. Not the best, but keep in mind of the situation we're in. We just came off of a test of resistance. We failed the test. Now we're going down. If we find support at support, and there is support here, if you find support at support, you could take profits there, and it's a relatively low risk trade, even though it's just a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio. If you take a measured move out of that, we could take this full leg down here. And if we do get a break down, this could even get blown through, and your reward could potentially be all the way down here at about the 45 cent level, give or take. And that puts you at a much better 6 risk reward ratio. Now, I do want to say something about measured moves. I'm not sure I mentioned it yesterday, but I have a strategy with measured moves where at about 75% of a measured move, you can consider it a successful measured move. The reason being is measured moves are a known strategy, and so sometimes they don't quite all the way get there. And I've noticed the measured moves that don't work out. If a measured move goes halfway, it's kind of a failed move, but if it goes 75%, I consider it a successful trade. So you can use that metric in your own trading if you want to kind of make sure you're taking profits and not losing them as things try to bounce back. All right, next up is ICP, which I'll just type in here. I think it's BTC actually. Sorry, a little bit unprepared for this one. You'll be fine. No, it's USD. Okay, so ICP, let's go back out to the daily time frame. And ICP has generally not done a good job. We've given it some opportunities, but it's pretty much failed at every opportunity we've given it, except for the early run, which was really good. But recently, we have a pretty well-formed H pattern. So let's dive back down to the 2-hour time frame. And you can see ICP has a pretty well-formed H here. These H patterns, they're not always in the market, but the market's fairly bearish at the moment. So here's, we're going to rinse and repeat. We're going to rinse and repeat. So your entry could be almost anywhere right now. Your stop right now is about the 347 level, which is this overnight high that we just printed. Now, if you notice, we have a series of lower highs coming into play. So as we roll over, you can think of this entry as entering here. It's a little bit low, but this is a bounce play. You don't really get a breakout type of an entry with a failing bounce play. You just kind of have to take it when the bounce fails. So if this is the first time you're seeing it, as long as your risk is manageable, it's a trade that you can consider taking. Now, what about a target? Well, we're going to take our same measure and move. I'm going to be very boring most of the time, ladies and gentlemen. Reason being is boring usually works better. Super exciting strategies usually are flash in the pans. It's the boring strategies that really do well. Boring with a measured move here. Now, this was just the last drop. This isn't anything super dramatic. Why do my risk reward at 0.17 doesn't seem accurate. We got a 2.69 for a 15%, 2.69 risk for 15%. That just feels a little more like a 5-to-1 risk reward ratio. I'm not sure what's going on with this. So a target of about 285, stop of about 347. if you just want to watch this too, and here's something else you can do with all of these trades, especially these bounce trades like this, or the failed bounce trades. If it's coming down like this and it starts to bounce, you can wait for that bounce to fail and then use that as your entry opportunity and tighten up your stop even more. Now, the overall risk right now, I'll mention the overall risk in any of these strategies, any of these bearish strategies, is a market bounce. And that's something that can happen, and you have to be prepared for that. The market usually only breaks down once. It only does it once. It's not going to do it, time and time and time and time again. You do get little legs down sometimes, but it's only going to break down once, right? So, for instance, if you're looking for a breakdown out of this situation, it only broke down once. So you may fail a couple of times before you get the breakdown. The good thing about this market situation right now is that we haven't yet really tried to break down. So if it does try to break down earlier, that means the market is weaker and this will be a better trade. So you can take these opportunities. These are some of the a little bit better, I think. If we fail this one or two times, they're going to become a little bit worse, because you fail. Going down means it'll probably bounce up at some point, and then we'll be looking for those trades. All right, so here's your TA tip of the day, and I wrote it down. I just came up with this today, actually. I haven't said this before. Trading is a leap of faith. Don't jump all the time, okay? You want to take the best opportunities out there, and it really is. Trading is a leap of faith. You have to put the faith in your analysis, in your ability to read the charts and take the trades. So when you're watching somebody like me on YouTube, it really is your trade in the end. These setups that I'm telling you about, mainly for educational purposes. Some of these they're all actually actionable, but you have to learn from each one and learn the setup that works for you. So, trading is a leap of faith. Don't leap all the time. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'll see you next time on Altcoin Buzz Trading.